Yeah, pretty much. Pretty straightforward. It's nice now that the Zergs are the ones in this map pool that actually get to decide which map they want to play, and usually we get one map that's super good for a Zerg, whereas last map pool it was the opposite, so the tables have turned a little bit as we load into the first map, which is the thing that I was talking about, a little bit more of the Zerg favorite map.
Yep.
And we have spawning in the top right hand side, the red Terran player, already leaving his base with an SCV early. It's my teammate ByuN.
And the bottom left-hand side, our blue Zerg is from XCOM Argo Elazer.
Yeah.
ByuN likes his proxy racks every now and again, and he'll crank them out nice and early here. He did the same against Solar yesterday. He was 2,000 atmospheres map 1, and he proxy racks on that map as well. Wasn't super close, kind of like this, right? It's close, but it's not super close. That means it probably won't be seen, but we'll see how well Elazer can cope with this. It is at least a hatchery first. Yesterday when he played against Solar, he kind of ran into a pool first, which is obviously completely disastrous. So a little bit better off for ByuN here to begin with, at least.
Yeah, for sure. Elazer also is playing it quite greedy. He's just sending across the first Overlord, which means he has no possibility of actually scouting the proxy rack. So the first he's gonna see of it is gonna be the SCV running into his own natural, which that's basically playing it on hard mode, hard difficulty. It's a lot easier if you know what's coming. And the biggest difficulty is that you don't know if it's a 2-rex or a 3-rex, and then you don't know if you necessarily need a spine or not, and how many drones you need to pull. So it's kind of a 50-50 at that point. ByuN also obviously capable of both 2-rex and 3-rex, so yeah, Elazer is going to have to gamble a little bit with the response.
Yeah, we'll see what he opts to go for here in the near future, as a couple of Marines are just going to be popping out soon, and obviously we begin our progress toward that natural, where the first Overlord at the front will see, hey, okay, well, this is happening, and now you have to just wait a little bit to start responding. I mean, first Marine down here, first drone goes to the low ground, and he is going to not do anything too crazy just yet. Obviously, he wants to get his Zerglings and everything started, Queens, and he kind of delayed a moment or two there.
He is making a spine, but that spine is not at the front, which I think is a mistake. He did a really nice drone drill, so it's very hard for Terran to tell how many drones there are exactly. This would have been enough. That if ByuN didn't kite back that way, he would have just gotten surrounded. But now the bunker actually finishes up. He doesn't even get the SCV that's on the bunker. He's gonna lose a lot of drones in the process of trying to deny this bunker, and this already is pretty good for the Terran.
Yep, I mean, that's a lot of drones going down, and then you still got the bunker behind it, so that's just going to be plain simple. ByuN taking the win with the 2-rex here.
I don't know. This was like the map where the roaches first came into play quite a bit, because it's super hard to play this map without roaches, since it's very difficult to like clear tank pushes behind your gold base, because you kind of need to engage in the middle of the map, which obviously makes the rush distance even lower than it already is on this map. So maybe he's gonna play some cave bob. I could see that. He also sometimes likes going Lingbane Muta with late upgrades to try and take map control. So I could see either of those, or just Lingbane into Lingbane Hydra with like the late Hydra then. Like all three of those are basically just to have a lot of units early on to take map control, because it's super important on this map.
Alright, be fun to see what happens then. Elazer bottom left, ByuN bottom right, and seeing what these two want to do on the opening. As ByuN has, I feel like a lot of the time when ByuN takes like a one-map lead, he decides to play Hellbats. I'm like, ByuN, why? What are we doing? You know, Hellbats seem very controversial, and yet Terrans still do them a lot of the time. Do you have any insight on why we're seeing so many Hellbats still, or do you just think it's a free win when you see them?
It's definitely not a free win. You need to be somewhat ready. There are Hellbat Olins that require Baningness. Those are the strongest ones against players like Elazer, because Elazer usually doesn't really scout. He just plays his normal opener and then plays based off feeling. So if you find a Zerg that's a little bit greedy, there are Hellbat openers that punish them very heavily, and then there are also Hellbat openers that are just not that committed. Especially the ones that go into Widowmine drops, I think are also pretty good and don't really need to deal that much damage. It's just like a multi-layered approach of trying to delay the Zerg's economy. And I don't think they're as weak as like for example, if you watch GSL, you would think Hellbat Olins never ever work ever, but obviously if that was the case, Terran players wouldn't do them.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was saying for a long time, because obviously in GSL specifically, I think everyone's like, Hellbats suck! I'm like, well, why are the Terrans doing them then? And it's like, sometimes they work, but the more I watch lately, I really do feel it's like, man, it feels like Hellbat attacks really barely do ever do anything. Like, sometimes the favorite does a Hellbat attack and he wins. Like, well, he was the favorite anyway, right? But yeah, no, it's just wondering your opinion of them, especially because ByuN really does seem to crank them out a lot more than a lot of other players, I would say, lately. So it's been interesting to see.
I mean, ByuN also has super weird builds, and he has like his own openers, and he has like, it feels like he has 100 different openers, so it's really hard as a Zerg to exactly guess what's going on. The thing is that very often when he does them, they fail because most of his openers are 2cc openers. Like, if he would mix in more 3cc follow-ups, where he doesn't actually do super aggressive starts, even without Hellbats, then the Zergs wouldn't just go for 8 queens right away. But if you just go for 8 queens right away, you're kind of safe against everything, so it seems like a safe approach, and ByuN's doing the exact opposite. He is actually going for a 3cc opener, which I really like. This is something that I also told him that I would love to see him mix in a little bit more. Because very often, especially in a team league, he got behind against Zergs in the early game super fine, and sometimes he made insane comebacks. So like, what if you just don't play from behind?
Yeah.
Maybe it's gonna go a little better, you know?
Yeah, if you just play from a better position in the first place, it's like, well, that actually works too. And definitely, it's very true, actually. You're not wrong. It's something where I feel like you see ByuN have this issue more than anyone else, where he's constantly having to play from behind and play catch-up a little bit, and he's so good at doing it, and sometimes is able to, even games he doesn't win from that behind position, can really, like, draw it out a lot more. It's like, well, yeah, what if you didn't just do this attack at 5 minutes that did nothing, killed, like, 1 drone or so? It's definitely a good question. So, yeah, I like to see the 3cc. Definitely not full-on, fully ByuN-like, but yeah, good to mix in, and obviously any Terran that can mix it in should be, it's always just a good tool to have in your arsenal.
He's also going for the Liberator variation, where if you actually ever get the Liberator in between second and third base of the Zerg, which you do need to go quite a bit around the map, so it's gonna arrive a little bit later, but it's very, very annoying to deal with, especially if you have 8 Hellions poking at the front, because you can't really afford to have all your queens, like 2 in the natural and 2 behind the third base, waiting, because that means then the 8 Hellions will only fight 2 queens at the front. So it's actually quite powerful on this map. I also would like the Banshee because it's very easy to control the space behind the gold and keep it creepless, so to say. I think those are 2 of the best openers. And Elazer respecting that quite a bit, not actually taking the gold first, but rather the normal blue base first, which I like.
Just playing it safe, like you say. It's just a little trickier to keep that gold up, and the possibilities of just being harassed there, so it just says, right, I'll take that a bit later in the game where I have a bit more control anyway. For now, and just go up to the upper left-hand side, as we do have the Hellions settling down on the bottom, and a Spore Crawler will settle down off to the side there as well. It's just getting that up and rolling as the Reaper and the Hellions come through, and just going to see the Queens there to defend. Liberator just going to go and pick off an Overlord, which you don't see every day, but this one is far enough out that it's something you can grab. So get an Overlord kill, and then use that Lib. Still a little bit later on, it can still be annoying poking into certain positions and trying to find something out of all of this.
Yeah, I think he just happened to stumble across that Overlord there and was so far away that he was like, okay, maybe I'm gonna use this Liberator as a budget Viking. And now instead he's going back actually, instead of committing fully towards his base, since obviously he knows, or he respects Elazer's skill. I still do think you want to go in between those natural and third base, because even if you know it's there, it's not that easy to defend. He actually returned home with all of his Hellions, so he's a little bit afraid of a run by, which is surprising to me, because around this time is really when the crew spread starts exploding on the Zerg side of things, so this is where you kind of want to be active with the Hellions. So ByuN just playing super safe.
Yep, being just extremely cautious here, and is just going to come forward for maybe a creep team or so. He's going to adventure onto creep before turning a bit back around. And just going to see our melee upgrades continuing in from Elazer. So we are going to see that melee style from him. Still has that Liberator poking and prodding. And there is a scan actually to start trying to deny some of this creep and take some of the map control away from the Zerg.
It's very important to... Basically this entire map revolves around having the control of the center for both races. Whichever player has the control of the center usually is quite favored, because they can mine from the gold and then do stuff against their opponent's golds. ByuN also took the safer third base, which will enable him to take his own gold base. Oh, and now he's trying to poke in with the Hellions. Those Hellions are gonna die, I feel like. He went a little bit too far on creep. Elazer maybe just settling for 1 Hellion instead of chasing.
Yeah, better one than them all, but yeah, that was definitely scary. You don't disagree with your initial judgment that they maybe were all in trouble. They fortunately get away to be unable to keep them alive. It's nice to keep them alive. They're good, they're good drop defense, or not drop defense, run by defense. Also, obviously, just a good way to be able to kind of mix into a bit more strength of your army, right? You get a few Hellbats up in the army, they can tank a few Bane shots, that can make a difference sometimes as well.
Yeah, it actually makes the fight, if they join up with this first tank push, very, very difficult. But for now, he's just using them as run-by defense, as you said, and it's going to work out great, because the Elazer actually is making a massive run-by. And ByuN is set up like perfectly for this. The Marines behind the wall with a tank on the high ground, the Hellions still there. So he completely destroyed the Elazer's run-by here. One of the tanks slightly overextended, so Elazer's going to get that, but he dealt with the run-by perfectly. So overall, that was pretty good for ByuN.
Yeah, very nicely handled, and obviously that's expensive then, right? Because now, you look at, I mean, you can just look at the army supply, and oh my goodness, these Banes get found as well, so they're not going to be able to do anything. So they get cancelled. Your gold base is obviously in some trouble here. Well, at least that's going to be your 5th base, so not the end of the world. But, you know, ByuN is setting up to take a 4th base sooner rather than later. So as his 4th comes online, you know, as a Elazer, you're not able to get up to a 5th just yet. ByuN has a lot of the control on the top side of the map, and has just been able to take some good trades. And Elazer was just lacking a little bit. Now going to attempt to go up into the Hydra Den and all the rest of it here. So let's see what goes down. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think this failed run-by attempt really makes it so Elazer can't take a fight there. Obviously, you're always going to have to fight off creep. This is why it's so difficult on Blackburn. But Elazer kind of was planning on doing that anyways, because he just stayed on 6 gas, messing Link Banes. You should be able to just take a fight there, but with how many Zerglings he lost on the other side of the map, that fight is going to take place a lot later. Now that he saw how many Marines there are, I wish he would just engage on his own side of the map, coming from both sides, because he needs to clean this up rather sooner than later, because once ByuN's army actually joins up, it's going to be super scary.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As the Hive is continuing through, ByuN is already starting to bring some of those reinforcements forward here and just see what he wants to do. I mean, again, kind of leaving this army top left. Do you think there is... I mean, it feels like it's just been there an eternity, and it looks as though it is going to somewhat get away with it as well right now as we see these Marines continuing through to the top. There's a couple of forward Balins to be careful of, something Elazer loves to make use of, so just trying to join up, but needs to be careful. Those Burrowed Banes could be pretty substantial here.
Oh
in the next
no,
little
he wasn't
bit.
watching.
Oh, it's so sad.
And now he selected them. He was. They were at the perfect position for the reinforcements. Elazer, obviously, as you said, he did use those for quite a long time already. So he knows the exact paths that the units usually like to take. So he has them really well positioned. Like I wouldn't be able to know to put my Balins exactly there. Still gets a really good hit.
Yeah.
Could have been even better, but that's still pretty good.
Decent connection at the end there, like you say, and yeah, just something out of them as we see the Marines do get up to this top side, and both players will be maxed out here. Laser still setting up a few more run-bys, still trying to make something of that. And we do see the Lings just moving into that gold base right now. So getting those set up as the ByuNs to get rid of a few of them, and now Marines and Hellbats are pulling back home. Once again, run-by is dealt with pretty well by ByuN. He's really not leaving many openings for those to get too much done or anything, so that part is working out for him.
Yeah, I hope ByuN starts his 3-3 right away. His 2-2 already was really late. He forgot it for quite a bit. It doesn't matter as much if you just want to play late game, and this is also a really good late game map, but starting 3-3, and then he also needs to start slowly trading away his Bayou units for extra ghost. And then he should be pretty well set up. On Blackburn, it's very, very difficult actually to play against Terran in late game, because two of the bases are in the middle of the map, which usually tends to favor the Terran. And it's relatively easy for Terran to just turtle up as well at first and split the map until these two bases come into play. So I wonder how aggressive Elazer is gonna start being within like the next 4 minutes. I feel like he needs to start ramping up the aggression and do stuff on the map.
Yeah, just step it up, like you say. Late game, I've always preferred Terran on this map. I always feel like it's that little bit easier to just deny bases off and to stay on equal bases while trading well. So yeah, I would like to see, like you say, just Elazer stop it from getting to that stage. If you can still keep the Terran pinned on 4 bases, then it doesn't matter as much, but if he does begin to get those other bases up and running, it's more and more of a problem, because you have to take difficult to take bases, your gold, the top base. Yeah, and those aren't easy. Now, Lurkers are coming into play, but ByuN is prepping. Ghosts are on the way out. And for the moment, we continue to head into what seems to be some Lurker vs. Ghost action. Plenty more CC starting from ByuN. He's very happy for this to go late. So it's kind of down to Elazer if he wants to stop this getting there.
Yeah, I'm very surprised Elazer didn't clear this army up yet. Like, it's really just like 60 or 70 supply, and it's only 2 tanks, so you can trade this very effectively as a Zerg. As long as you just come from 2 different sides, he even has Vipers. Because this army, like, it looks like it might not be doing a whole lot, but it's denying the gold base by itself, and on top of that, it's also denying creep at the top side of the map, which is pretty important because ByuN might be able to take a base there at some point if there is no creep. So cleaning this up would just enable Elazer to take bigger parts of the maps.
Yep.
So I hope he does that soon.
Yeah, and it's just been sat there forever. BYUNS just been able to keep armies up on that position for a very long time. Twice now in this game as Elazer threatens to run forward on the bottom side, a little run by top right, but nothing really connecting, nothing really kind of hitting home. And so Elazer's bank will just continue to build and build for the moment, and that's about all we've got for now.
Yeah, ByuN actually missed the active tumor. If he didn't miss that, that would be all the creep gun from the middle of the map. But thankfully for Elazer, he didn't miss exactly that. Elazer actually opting to go for 3-3 on the missile upgrades before melee first, which is also a little bit surprising. I think most Zergs prefer the melee upgrades, since Lurkers kind of just kill whatever they shoot at, and then the Lings and Banes do really do a lot better with the upgrades.
Yeah, on the follow-up.
That being said, it looks like Elazer is just chilling and not really fighting to begin with, so now he's finally trying to clear it up.
Yeah, it was kind of a bit weird. There's this like massive group of Banelings that have had a few shots on them, and this tank will get a couple more, and Baneling's still rolling into that tank as well, so that one siege tank got quite a bit of value up there for itself. As you do see Lings running to the upper right-hand side. 11 Hydras are still in production here from Elazer, still just bringing those up. There's the 3-3 upgrades all coming through, the +2 melee upgrade finally starting as well. ByuN obviously about to hit his own 3-3 and still just happy to be camping out with all of the CCs coming online, the ghost count continuing to rise, just happy to, let this improve.
Yeah, I think unless you're planning on going Broodlords right away, you should already be starting to attack and trade, even though it sometimes looks stupid when Zergs run into fortified positions. This is where Terran is the weakest. As you can see in the bank, Elazer can afford like an entire extra army, whereas Terran right now is putting a lot of money into like extra CCs and stuff like that, so he should be low on minerals, which means if you ever get rid of the bio or rid of the tanks in even just one position, you can start breaking through. So these attacks that Elazer is doing right now, I think they're a little bit too late, and they're also just not with all of his units. I would love to see the way he's playing at least double Spire already, because this is gonna come down to Broodlords eventually. Oh my god, wait, how many Lurkers is he making?
16 more, so it's gonna be what, 26 Lurkers on the map? It's a lot of Lurkers, huh?
Okay, I can see why he made the missile now over the melee upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, that answers one of our questions. I mean, does this amount of Lurkers work? Is there a point where there's like too many Lurkers in your eyes, or is this a way you can play this?
It is a way where you can play it, unless there are Liberators. I think even just 4 Liberators, like there is 1 Liberator on the map right now. You don't want to run into that, but if there is like 2 Liberators on both sides, I think this would be too many Lurkers, because every single Liberator shot is so, like, it adds so much value. Okay, now he's just trying to run in here.
Yep, these Lings are kind of running in on their own, and the Ghost will just help to get rid of those very quickly. Some abducts on the Ghost from the Vipers, but the returning snipe fire is pretty good so far. And I'd say that these Lurkers have just not really found the damage that they're looking for in the slightest. And now, as they look for a retreat, you're going to lose a couple more. The Liberator actually sieges up again top side of the army, so yeah, I mean, 16 SCVs have gone down, but ByuN is still somewhat comfortable in his work account here, shouldn't be feeling too pressured. And like I say, a lot of these Lurkers have started to fall, which is an expensive part of Elazer's army. He has so many minerals, but not that much gas in the bank.
Yeah, I think Elazer's playing it's a little bit wrong, because with this style you gotta start attacking earlier and also on multiple sides. So if you just run into one side, it's just not gonna work. Like, the trades are always gonna be terrible. The way I really thought he was just gonna go Broodlords, but the way he's been playing now, he is completely committed on staying on this army. Because if you want to play Broodlords, you need to already trade semi-effectively, because you're kind of giving up on mining more of the map. But with the style that he's playing right now, he kind of is forced to also take, I feel like the top side base he already should have taken, and the bottom side base, since he's the one attacking and he's the one on the map.
Yeah, absolutely. As you're going to see these Hydras trying to push through, I mean, they have a horrible time against the tanks. The Ghost Snipes will obviously just insta-kill them, and I mean, Elazer's supply has just been plummeting continuously at this stage as a few more of these Lurkers get picked away at. You're going to see a few drones going down on the top side as the gold base gets hit as well. So it's ByuN actually having the successful counterattacks and just moves into his opponent's side of the map, and it feels like Elazer is absolutely losing control of Blackburn.
Yeah, he still does have a pretty big bank, so he can still like keep maxing out, and ByuN can't get overboard. But as long as ByuN just sits there, Elazer will be forced to keep attacking into him, because you already traded so much worse that I mean Elazer's in big trouble now, even though he's still max and up in bank, because his army is just, it's not gonna get much better from here on out. I also think he forgot Hydra speed, which I feel like he should have noticed by now, because he like just attacked with 30 Hydras off creep.
Yeah, might be one of the reasons those Hydras aren't looking so pretty, as we see Lurker's attempting to get behind the goal, but the tank there is actually going to help out initially as well. SCVs pull away until this is dealt with, and I mean, we just continue through, as otherwise you see more Lurkers morphing in, a couple more siege tanks on the way. Liberator, again, just holding this top side and just trying to push Lurkers back as well. As we do see the Ghosts just trying to get in position, see if they can make a fight happen.
Yeah, these are the type of moves that Elazer needs, but at the same time he needs like Lurkers at the bottom as well fighting, which is just not happening. He did a good job at cancelling most of the snipes, but the Vipers are going forward a little bit too far and now are also getting sniped, and at this point you need to start running with the Lurkers. The only way you can safely stay at a position with Lurkers is if they actually have a concave on the Ghost. ByuN actually distracted because he's pushing at the bottom at the same time. This one gets cleared out quite well with his Zerglings, and he's actually gonna commit into these tanks. Only gets a single tank for all the Zerglings. That was also not good.
Yeah, it's like, so, you know, Lings can be good against tanks, right? But when they all get blown up before they get there, not so much. And those tanks obviously just deadly as well with their upgrades. So, yeah, that kind of hurts. ByuN continues to push around the bottom side and keeps a lot of Elazer's attention over there as the Ghosts have made a move. I mean, they cloaked up, and the cloak is going to be good. As they run out of energy, they will start to get killed, and now the Overseers show up, but he gets rid of a lot of them, and obviously he's just happy with the amount he's traded out for. His numbers still look much better than Elazer's at this stage. Elazer still has money in the bank to spend, just isn't spending it. He's actually only got 12 lava as well, so maybe having some lava issues as well. He will spend head on. Well, there's the lava popping for 54 Lings, and he makes 14 more Lurkers. It's just the same army once again, right? Like you say, he's kind of stuck here, and he's just having to repeat what he's done already.
Yeah, if he maybe finds a fight with good Viper spellcasting, maybe he can do something, because ByuN actually traded away all his bio, and I feel like you still want some bio on the map, like some Marine Marauder against the Lings and the Banes, but with the amount of tanks, it's very difficult to ever find an opening, so you would need like massive blinding clouds in order to do that.
Yep. Well, looks as though we are just going to be seeing the Lurkers again around this bottom side to see what they can get up to, and trying to get something out of this as we have Lings and Lurkers moving around up to the top. Just going to go to the upper right hand corner there and see if there is something to be done with this. Then behind the gold base at least, as the Ghost will start to snipe up a little bit. Planetary Fortress may be in some trouble, but I mean the Ghost snipe's already coming through, and a lot of these Lurkers just straight up dropping. And the Ghosts are able to just fire from afar. The Lurkers aren't able to hit them, and so they aren't cancelling those snipes. It just feels like Lurker after Lurker goes down for what, a handful of SCVs? Just not worthwhile in the slightest.
Yeah, he gets a bunch of Ghosts there in the end, but it was also like 60 Zerglings that just ran into the planetary and didn't even engage. Like, these Zerglings didn't even get a single hit on. I feel like he should really start splitting his army more, because like these siege attacks with the Lurkers and the Vipers, the Zerglings don't really contribute anything to this, so maybe the Zerglings should try to get something else done, but it's so difficult on Blackburn, right? Especially if your opponent has like 20 siege tanks.
There's nowhere to run by. Yeah, like where do you send them? Like there's basically like bottom and middle end up in this tank line, and then top it's like, well, yeah, there's nothing up there either. I'm gonna start losing some of the creep here. I mean, we started to take the bottom side 6 o'clock base, which feels way too late by this stage of the game. Usually you kind of need to have that under control, especially with what Elazer's still working with here. Is it's a reasonable push, and a couple of Ghosts go down immediately. Tank fire helping out, of course, and the further you run forward here as Elazer, the more trouble you're just going to run into. And that's the issue. ByuN just has such a good setup that he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, like if Elazer was mining from both of the middle bases, which would definitely be possible because ByuN has just been defending for the past like 5 minutes or so, then I would see some hopes. And then also you wouldn't need to take these fights, man. The Hydras are so slow.
Yep, still just chilling. He finally starts up Hydra speed, so finally realizing perhaps what is going on, and finally realizing what he needs to fix, but obviously, yeah, he's a little late, and he's still maxed out, but now his bank is completely depleted, so this is pretty much just it. There is nothing else to be done here.
Yeah, I mean, the only way Elazer wins is if he takes the top base, and the bottom base at the same time. He needs to secure both, and then he needs to hope that ByuN moves out while still leaving like half of his army at home to try and clear up one of the base and then go for a surround. If he engages into ByuN, it's just not happening. Like we just keep repeating the same movie over and over again. I think you just gotta wait, mine out a little bit more, and then hope that ByuN just moves out and gets reckless. Think the game is already over or something.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I see it. It's just really not pretty as Maroons continue to try and make their way through the bottom side. They're going to just try and get on top of that base down on the bottom here, and of course just try and take that mining away from Elazer as well, which if we can do so, then brilliant. Tank does get shot down as it gets a little bit too close. As you still have just a lot of Ling Hydra in the center there, but again, how do you ever bring that into range of these tanks in any sort of effective manner that's going to be, good for you? I'm out of answers, I suppose, as we do have these Lurkers taking some shots down here. So now Elazer has to respond down there. Maybe he can cut off this group of ghosts. He's going to jump on them, and a few will get caught by the Zerglings without going too deep on tank fire, I want to say, man. A few tanks that are on range just do a lot, but that's some nice abducts. I mean, if Elazer's going to make this happen, it's with, kind of like plays like that, it's just still questionable as to, again, if that alone is enough so far. And it kind of isn't just yet, as he's still dropping down on supply.
Yeah, the issue is just that there's so many tanks that ByuN can fall back to. Like, he still has tanks everywhere on the map, even. This is like a quarter of his tank force. And this position in the bottom with the slow zones and the choke on the bottom, the tanks are just so powerful in, and it's super difficult to get a cost-effective fight. ByuN only needs to get the bottom base, really. He traded so effectively already, like we can check resources lost. He's 24,000 resources up. So as long as ByuN stops Elazer from mining this and starts mining it himself, he doesn't ever need to care about the top base in this. Like, it just won't matter.
Yeah, just that much efficiency in this game, so he can just, like you say, straight up ignore base basically as Lurkers, Queenslings settling down. Just going to be seeing the Hydras continuing through in production. That's pretty much all Elazer's been rebuilding for a long time. And well, 101 army supply trying to set up on this bottom side. ByuN just going to be looking for a few snipes here and there. The Vipers are hunting. They obviously want to try and get some of their abducts off once again, and we'll get something there. Now we're going to get another ghost, but the Vipers are going down, and of course that's an expense you just really cannot afford. Those Vipers are not cheap in the slightest. Yeah.
Elazer did a really nice job there with trying to wait till the ghosts lock onto the Lurkers, so he could abduct them safely. So that was a really nice move, but Elazer is just running out of steam at this point. He's just not mining as much as he once was. And his bank is gone completely. He's now dropping below 130 supply. Whereas ByuN is still at 160, and he still also has minerals in the bank to remax with. He also has 1,000 CCs that he can fly out.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, he's just going to continue through. This bottom base cannot be held. ByuN will be able to take it. He's also going to deny the top side, because why the hell not? Like you say, he doesn't need it, but, if he can afford to deny it and take that out of the game, why not just do it, right? It's a bonus. As the Lings will actually at least get these tanks, so something for Elazer here, but I mean, we're talking about little things that just don't change the overall pacing of this game anymore. ByuN's got this in the bag. Looks like he's going to secure a place in the playoffs.
Yeah, it looks like it. ByuN getting a little bit reckless now with his army. This is what I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But this at this point the game might actually be over, so he can afford to do that. His army supply is just double of what Elazer's army supply is, and the moment he starts floating CC down, he still needs to clear some creep there, but once that's cleared and he establishes mining there, it's pretty much checkmate.
Yeah, well, Elazer's putting a lot of attention to the top side of the map, as though being able to mine from the top is going to be a redeeming factor in this game, which I guess, if you're in a game like this right now, how aware are you of, like, the resources lost, like, in person? Like, do you think, like, how bad it is, or does he really believe it's about, Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he knows. I also think Miko killed his own hatchery now, because I don't think ByuN killed the hatchery that he's long distance mining from. Either way, last engagement of the game. Elazer trying his best. Great blinding cloud. The Lurkers are actually shooting a lot more than I thought they would. But it's just a game of numbers at this point.
Yep, it's been a game of numbers for a little while. We've been waiting for this to really just play out, and here we finally pretty much have it as Ghosts, Marines, even SCVs are coming up to try and deny this base. There's 36 army supply on the map from Elazer. He'll type out GG, and ByuN looks pretty dominant here against an Elazer who looked great earlier against Dream as well. Obviously, we'll be having to play against Dream again now in this decided match, but ByuN goes through to the playoffs.